Hello guys, welcome in the next episode of the Talk About to See. This is our first outdoor shooting and I'm really grateful that I can do it with this eccentric woman, Alex. Alex will tell us more about... Oh, you Alex? Alexa.
I've been called worse. It's fine.
Oh, before I call you Alex.
Alexa.
In my head, Alexa, I know why I remember. That's why I didn't want to accept Alexa, because it sounds like, Alexa, turn the volume down.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. That Alexa, yes, Mr. Bezos.
Exactly, that's why, that was the reason why I got it in my head as Alex. And she will share her life story.
Be excited.
You have to be much louder, darling.
So to start, okay, I was born in England, not suddenly, but quickly moved to Hong Kong, 6 weeks old. My parents take me. My father worked for the government, and at this point Hong Kong was still under British rule. So we had our apartment, we had the armours, we had the housekeepers. I certainly didn't want for anything. We lived there in a beautiful, beautiful home. We had dogs, cats. My mum used to rescue cats every single time there was a typhoon. So we had cats constantly, like a roundabout of cats coming through the house. And the flat looked out onto a beautiful roundabout. A wonderful start. However, my father had a change of heart. He always wanted to become a teacher. So we left Hong Kong, came back to England for him to retrain as a teacher. And having come from a prestigious job, what someone called prestigious, a prestigious job, a wonderful flat, home, staff, darling, as we're in Battersea, we came back to live in a one-bedroom apartment, which was my mother's mother, my nanny.
From the life of the Hong Kong luxury by
Yes.
British government, you got into one-bedroom apartment, which in London is shoebox.
Well, yes, to a one-bedroom apartment with, by this point, 3 children, 2 parents, 3 children under 6. My brother, sister and I were sleeping in a double bed, my parents on the floor. So it was slightly different. But my father was doing something that he loved. And this is something... this is something that truly, I feel, informed me. You do something that you love, and it might not be comfortable in that moment, but you persist. So yes, we've had, even before I was 7, we've had various different examples of living situations. We then moved to the countryside, out of the big city, and lived in then a normal house in the middle of Cambridgeshire.
Beautiful.
And started school. My school was 28 children.
28 children?
The whole school.
The whole school's 28
2
kids.
classes.
Wow.
With fields where we could run and play, and my teachers didn't believe in competition, so we had maypole dancing and square dancing and Scottish dancing, so I could go to a ceilidh and I know everything, but we didn't have competition, so schooling was then very, very different.
And we're back. So there was 28 kids in all, totally at this school.
Yes, so 28 in the whole school. We have 2 classes, infants, juniors, and it was a joy. We had, as I say, we had no competition, teaching, there weren't specific subjects, it was projects. We got to run around for a lot of the time. There were basically 5 or 6 families in the whole village, and everyone knew everyone.
There's a question, from which age, so let's put in a timeline. From the 6 weeks,
yes,
until what age you've been living in London, in Hong Kong?
Until I was about 5.5.
Lovely. After that, from the 5.5, you've been living here in London
till 7.
Till 7,
yes,
and from 7 you went to the boarding school, the girls' school.
And also at 7, but then we moved to Cambridgeshire. This was the village with 28 children.
Ah.
And so we were there 28 children, and then my father got a job again. We were chasing prestige in London again. Top boys' school in the country.
Nice.
So we come back up to London.
So wait. But when he went here, he was trying to study. You told me, right?
No, so we came back from Hong Kong for him to study teaching and education.
How long have you been been studying?
It's simply a 1-year course.
Oh, that it?
Yeah, simply a 1 year learning how to train. Tac.
But it had to be quite hard year.
Yes, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment,
It's
3 children under 6. But he worked, and that's what he wanted to do. So
Wow.
this is what, as I say, it was just what Dad did. It was just what Mama did, both of my parents. If you want something, you work for it. And this is what we saw. It wasn't just lip service, that is what we saw. So we always did it. Moved to Cambridgeshire for his first teaching post. Then he got a job in London at a very prestigious school. He still is a very good teacher. I'm biased, obviously, but we come up to London, 28 children in a school. I am, not surprisingly, but Alexa's wonderful. She's top of the class. She's the good girl. She's top of the class. Absolutely fine. So of course we come to London. Why would I be anything else other than top of the class? However, at that age, you in London, even then there was the 11 plus, so you had to apply for schools. My parents, top of the class. She's very gifted. She's intelligent. Well, she'll get into the top schools. Of course she will. Why would she not? So my parents only put me in for the number 1 and number 2 girls' schools in the country.
Oh wow! And they are? What's the name? Do you remember?
So there's St Paul's Girls' School, and at that point there was Godolphin and Latimer. And so I don't believe in competition, so I've never taken an exam even. And I'm now in London sitting 2 exams with 70-ish girls per place. It is suffice to say, I don't get into either of the schools. The girls had been prepped and they were intelligent, and yes, I went from being a big fish in a small pond to a very, very big pond and a little minnow.
Actually drug in the ocean.
So I was swimming. I was little Nemo swimming about in the Atlantic. It was enormous. And so I don't get into either of those schools. But there is another school that does accept me, which is not so far from here, but on the other side of the river. But having come from a space where I could run around, I could be myself. The school is within one house. It's a converted house, so it's very small.
Wow!
And it was lovely. It's a Catholic school. The smell of incense still remains with me. I love an incense.
Are you Catholic?
I am not Catholic, but I was for that year. I was a good girl for that year. I go to the school, love the smell of incense, do all sorts that I need to, but my parents can see I'm not happy because I don't have the space. And so they say, okay. Now, we've always valued education. My father, as I say, trained as a teacher, this, that, and the other. My mama also values education, but from a very different school.
What do you mean by that?
Both my parents left school at age 16 or 17.
Wow.
But
Why
my
is that?
father left school at 17 because he'd already got to Cambridge University. He was accelerated learning. He's super intelligent, school-wise, academics-wise.
Wow.
My mama left school at 16 because she doesn't like school. It doesn't suit her. So no qualifications.
Okay.
How they met, we're still yet to find out, my siblings and I. But loves education. Life is there for learning, but not schools.
But what does your mom do?
Oh, my mama has done everything and anything you could imagine. My mama left school, as I say, moved to London herself, was a croupier. In the casinos.
Billy,
Hello.
sorry.
Oh,
This is
don't
what happens
worry.
when we come outside.
Bill, come on, please.
My mama then became a croupier. She worked as an exclusive estate agent. She was a matron by the time we then moved into boarding schools.
I can imagine her, like
Everything.
literally, I'll give you the card, you'll choose, and this apartment you'll get.
Oh, yes. My mother, persuasive is one word that most people would definitely use for my mama. Determined is another. So yes, determined. My mama had said she's not happy at this school. She will get into the top school. She will go. Forgive me. The excitement. She will go to the ball. She will get to St Paul's Girls' School. So life is a game to be played.
But it's incredible to have a parents which one supports you. I'm from similar background of the support. So it's incredible. Not many people has that.
No, and I will eternally be grateful for that. Both of my parents supported me, again, in very different ways, but my mama would certainly unconditional love. It was just there. Because you are you, I will love you with everything I have and can do for you. So yes, Cinderella shall go to the ball. My daughter shall go to St Paul's Girls' School. First time you apply, there's 70 odd girls per place. Second time there's 8 girls. But now we know how the game works. And it is, like I say, it's a game.
Croupier, she'll be counting.
Now we know how the game works. So my father would come home from school, having taught all of his boys, and then he would teach me. And so then I got to St Paul's Girls' School, which was a very prestigious school, and it's a wonderful school for people who are innately intelligent. I was intelligent within a group of 28 children. St Paul's Girls, I was not, and so it didn't come naturally to me. But what it did teach me was how to learn, how I learn best, and that is one of the lessons that I will again be grateful to them for. They taught me all sorts of resilience, for sure. They taught me persistence. They taught me that it may well take me longer, normally 5-6 times longer than anyone else sat around me, but I can do it, and I shall do it. So I learned that. But again, I wasn't so happy there. But we didn't have to make that decision. The High Mistress, St Paul's Girls' School has a High Mistress, and the High Mistress summoned my parents.
No, high.
Exactly, she's not a headmistress, she is the High Mistress, and summoned my parents to suggest that I leave. I wasn't told that I left, but poor liners do not get B's, and I got B's. I got B's across the board.
Oh my God, can you imagine that you were getting B's and you would get...
Again, the way that my father supported me, you're a straight B student, that's fine. Consistency. We're not aiming for excellence, but consistency for my father was good enough. So, I got to the ball and I was not allowed to stay. Forgive me.
Oh, don't worry, darling. We're outside. We should be drinking a bit. We don't drink alcohol right now, okay? Don't worry. That's not vodka and juice.
No. So then I go to Sevenoaks, which is again then outside of London. Mm-hmm. We move out of London to a wonderful, wonderful school. I do the baccalaureate, which keeps the breadth. Again, I learn lots of different things. I'm not so much of a focus, but breadth. So yeah, schooling. Wasn't naturally gifted at schooling, but I worked hard and I learned a lot about myself in that. You find the things that you enjoy, you find how those things can translate into the things that you don't enjoy so much, and life is a game to be played.
And from your parents, from both sides, academically
For
from
sure.
one, and by croupier by second.
Yes, exactly. Oh yes, that is truly what my mama taught me, and continues to this day to teach me, is life is a game. And I will use the phrase so many times, but play.
Amen.
Play with life. Play, whether you're at school, whether you're at work, whether you are on the tennis courts, wherever you may be, you play. And if you're not enjoying it, then find a different game.
Or different table.
Or a different table, or exactly, or a different partner to play with. Don't hurt anyone, but play. Yes, exactly that.
Until the person doesn't enjoy it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move somewhere else from this.
Moving swiftly on.
So we are right now we are entering your kind of adulthood. We are passing the teenage girl's time. Until what year you've been studying this kind of
schooling? When on earth did I graduate school? I graduated school in 2002. Goodness me. Yes, 2002, a long time ago now.
But what school have you graduated?
So I finished Sevenoaks, and then I got to university.
Which one?
So my father went to Cambridge. I went to Cambridge.
Ooh!
By hook or by crook, I got there. Again,
Nice.
my mama said Cinderella should go to the ball. I was not seen by my school, nor in fact by my own father, had told me, no, you're not going to Cambridge. You don't need to do that. Like, we've put you through the schools, that doesn't work for you. We're not going to put you through that again.
Thank you, Papa.
Exactly, just crumbling inside. But my mama said, if that's what she wants, that's where she'll go. And I'd always got on with children. I had always loved, well, let's be honest, babysitting. I was looking after my own brother and sister, I was looking after other people's children, and then I started...
That's the question. How many siblings do you have?
There are 3 of us. So I'm the eldest, then my brother and my sister.
Oh, nice.
So there's 3 of us. So I looked after them, and then I looked after other people's. I was babysitting. As I say, it's Sevenoaks and other schools. We always lived on school campus. So there were always the other teachers' children. And my parents had me when they were relatively young. So on the most part, I was the eldest children amongst or the eldest child rather, amongst this group of children. So I would look after them. I was going to be a teacher. And so for university, okay, you can do education. History I'd always loved. Again, reading, not a strength of mine, but I enjoy it, so I'll do it. Education and history, they only offer it at Cambridge, or at this point anyway, a while ago. Cambridge and then 2 other universities. And the 2 other universities were asking for very, very low grades, which is wonderful, but in my household where we value education, and education was one of the tenets that we grew up on, if they're not even asking for very high grades, it's not going to be the best. So no, you're not going to apply there.
So how did you get on Cambridge?
How did I get to Cambridge? Someone was looking after me for sure. Because, so I arrived at Cambridge, they interview you. You, yes, have to get the grades, but they also interview you. They like to meet everyone that passes through those hallowed gates. So I arrive on the day for the interview. One of the people who are interviewing me is on a train that's delayed, so their secretary comes to interview me.
Oh, nice.
That works out well, because even better than that, she is about to go to Borneo. I have just come back from Borneo. And so, of course, we're not talking about any of my academics. We're not talking about education at all. We're talking about something that I love and that she's very excited about. So this is easy. We can do this all day long.
Done.
Exactly. And then the next person who interviews me...
So how many interviews do you have there?
So we have 2, because one for history and one for education.
Oh,
well, I had 2. And then the other one... To be brutally honest, I can't recall what happened, but again, it was something like that. We were having a chat. We weren't talking about, at school, we had weeks upon weeks of preparation. You have to be well read in current affairs. You have to know this person's opinion, this, that, and the other. Everyone else has this pressure. Again, within my family, I was never seen as academic, so I didn't have the pressure of, you will get here, you will do this. So I turn up, and then of course I come back. Everyone else, gosh, what did they ask you? What did you... I spoke about Borneo, I spoke about what I've just been up to. It was a good day. And it was a good day because then my offer comes through and I get a ridiculously low offer. I am basically offered the equivalent, as I say, the baccalaureate is out of 45, I get 30 points, which is a C and a D. To the point that my own father, who I love dearly, but my own father says, there's a typo. 40 points, yes, not 30 points. We need to check this. Anyways, I get this offer to Cambridge, so I'm now on cloud 9. 30 points I can get.
So we get over to Cambridge.
30 points I don't get. Because I can't even blame my wonderful little school of 28 children where we don't take exams. By this point I should be used to taking exams, but I'm not. And so I don't get my 30 points. But someone was looking after me, and one of my teachers rang Cambridge University. Goodness knows who you ring. You don't just ring Cambridge University, but she knew someone, and I get a place. And so there I skip in October. I skip off to Cambridge, and again I am sat there thinking, these people are the gifted of the world. These people are this, that, and the other. But again, because my parents wholeheartedly supported me and always told me that I could, and you will find a solution, I did, and I never felt overwhelmed. I never felt as though I didn't belong there, and I knew that I was going to be reading for an awful lot longer than most, but I did, and in fact I loved it, because doing history, you only have 7 hours of lectures a week. It's not, I mean, let's be honest, let's do an art subject. If you want to actually experience university, do an art subject, because you have 5-6 hours of lectures a week, and then the rest of the time it's to do as you please. But the family that I grew up in, where we value education, I wasn't out here, there and everywhere. I wasn't sleeping in. I was going to other people's lectures. So I went to the science lectures, and I went to the English lectures. And
so there is a question. So when you're on this kind of campus, you can go to any kind of lectures you ever wish to go, or do you have to literally specify you are going to this one, and you don't have to apply to go on another one?
Never having been to another university, I don't know how they work, but Cambridge is in fact an entire town, and so you have the faculties, which are the subjects, and then you have the colleges, which is where you live and play sports for, and all of this. So you move to your faculty, or you don't move, but as in you travel to your faculty, cycle most of the time. And the history faculty was on a site with the English, theology, all the arts, geography, various different things, and you can simply turn up to the lectures.
Oh,
there's
lovely.
no register, there's nothing.
So you
like
just
that.
listen to the lecture and you just it.
Yeah, and I was merrily moving from lecture to lecture, subject to subject. Everyone else furiously taking notes, like, this is my degree. Me, well, that's quite interesting. Oh yeah, maybe I'll come back next week to learn a little bit more. Or maybe so I can find out what that word actually means, because I've just listened to an entire lecture and I think I get the general gist. And I came out of Cambridge just loving all sorts and having a really broad knowledge. And it being Cambridge, it opens doors for you.
Of course.
It's, as I say, but rightly or wrongly in my mind, but it served me very well. You apply for a job and people see your CV, Cambridge University, and you come.
So that's the 2002 right now, when you finished the University of Cambridge.
No, I finished university in 2006.
2006?
Yeah, because it's a 4-year degree.
Oh, lovely. So 2002 was the normal, education school, and after the universities until 2006, just to want to put in my timeline to understand exactly.
Yes.
So now you're applying with the Cambridge title.
Yes. I have my Cambridge degree, and so I go and teach. As I say, now I get to be a teacher. I've worked for it, and I'm now a teacher down in a school down in Bristol, so down in the southwest of England. It is a beautiful, progressive boarding school, and I'm also attached to a boarding house. So I get to...
So it's a boarding school? So
it's a boarding school, but it also has day students as well. So it's from...
Mixed?
Yep, so 7 to 14, mixed, some international students. As I say, very progressive. It's open and caters for all. And I love that, because we found out throughout my schooling that I'm in fact dyslexic. And so learning doesn't necessarily come so easily to me until, as I say, I found out the way that I learn best. But being dyslexic, I thought, well, this is a skill. And I have a greater understanding, I certainly have a greater compassion and empathy for students with dyslexia. So I would like to explore that. And the school down in the southwest, they offered this. They had a wonderful department for learning difficulties. So I head down there, and age 12, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. So 12 to 22 now, 10 years, I'm going to be a teacher. And here I am, I'm a teacher. And I arrive and I start teaching, and I think, this is not what I thought it was. This isn't for me, in fact. It wasn't so quick, but
how long did it take you to realize that you don't want to be a teacher?
It took me 6 months to realize teaching is not what I thought it was.
Okay.
And it took me maybe 2 years to think, I want to be in education, but I don't want to be in schooling. But I was there for 6 years because, in fact, so much of that is to say education, being attached to the boarding house. I got to see these girls in endless different scenarios. You know, I would have a girl in my maths class who maths wasn't clicking for her. But then I'd have her in the boarding house and she's cooking and she's reading recipes and she's this, that and the other. Well, she can do maths because we're baking. Why can't she do it? And so I could see how that translated, how life skills, how that was education to me translated. So that allowed me to sit it out for a lot longer.
So what have you done after that when you realized that this is not the way as you want to teach?
So this is a play.
Did you play?
So now I'm thinking of, well, how can I translate these skills of baking, of knowing the individual? I want to teach individuals. I don't want to teach a curriculum, I want to teach individuals. So how can I access these individuals? And I look at creativity and I look at art. So I look at art therapy and specialisms and child psychology. And so I do. And as I say, play is more education. You know, I do endless courses, but it's all on play.
Okay.
Or to me, it's play. Because it's doing something I enjoy. And I suppose play to me is really framing something in a playful way. Play removes any kind of failure. You don't fail when you play, you can't. Play is engagement, you are enjoying what you're up to and it comes naturally, and you can play with others, you can play with yourself. It's not that that phrase sounds awful.
We don't want to go there. Mummy, sorry, she started, not me.
You can play as an individual, you can play in teams, you can play in all sorts of ways, but play it's the way that we have to frame our lives. As I say, we have to see life as that. So I start doing that, and
that's coming because of your background from the family, again reminding, because your father academic and your mother was croupier, and literally seeing the two perspectives of the life, education and researching and finding information around,
and that's exploration, and that's playing. And so as I say, to me, learning is lifelong. Learning doesn't happen for these years in this place. Learning is in everything we do, every interaction we have, every conversation, everything we look at is learning, and it's through exploration. And I think that's it. If you explore something, if you do an experiment, you're looking for a specific outcome and the results. If you explore, you're open. It's open-ended.
Yeah.
You're simply open to whatever it brings.
Yeah.
But you explore through play.
Yeah.
As I say, I play with this. I try this. I try that. As I say, because there's no failing. That's where I got to. And then even after 6 years, I was thinking, okay, now it's some time for me.
So you stayed there for 6 years?
I was there for 6 years, and
right.
I did enjoy every moment of it because I had the boarding house. That was my little sanctuary that I could come back to, and teaching was good. And as I say, that I framed it as I'm going to learn from this. I'm taking so much from this. What works, what doesn't work, what I enjoy, what doesn't work with this student or whatever else. So 6 years, and then I think now it is time for me to play. Now I get to go travel. So
you left the school?
I left the school. I pack everything up. I take it.
2006. It's 2012 now.
Yes. And so I go traveling for the year. And I have always been fascinated with art history. So I do 3 months in northern Italy. I have a month in Rome, a month in Florence, a month in Venice. Oh, it's divine. I mean, it's truly divine. And again, like going to my various lectures, I get to listen to, talk of this house and this method and Venetian glass and Florentine painting and all sorts. So I have 3 months in northern Italy, then I have 3 months in India, where I'm learning about Buddhism and spirituality.
3 months in Italy, after the India. So from the education, we go into spiritual
Because
centers.
is educating about myself.
Love
Who
it.
am I? How do I relate to whoever it was that was looking after me to get me to various stages of my life, to various institutions? Someone was there.
I think summer still is.
Some for sure. And yeah, again, I'd always been fascinated by it, so I go explore that, and I have week-long fasts, and I do all sorts. And then, okay, now it's time to formalize some of that. We do 3 months in North America, working in the Smithsonian in Washington, or various Smithsonians in Washington, MoMA in New York, and then a final month of, okay, I need to sit with this, so I go over to LA and sit on the beach for a month.
You've been all this time alone. Oh, I want to get like under your skin a bit, if you allowed me. Have you had a partner or all the time alone?
During this time I was alone. This was
okay.
selfish time. This was, not selfish time, but no.
Exactly,
it was
no.
for me.
We need me time.
We do.
And it's really important for us to find the me time and at the end even enjoy our me time. I've been learning that for quite a long time, and I'm still learning that, how to do it. So it's incredible that you have done it.
Well, I think prior to that point I had some relationships, and they had taught me that, in fact, I didn't know who I was. I had always, as I say, I came from a very loving family and a very supportive family, but I had always been told what to do, when to do it. You know, you go to school, you go to university, you're going to be a teacher. Everything was there. So I did it, and as I say, with the best of intentions, I did it for someone else. So that was that time, and relationships have definitely served to show me who am I. And if you don't know yourself, you certainly don't know who you want to be with, and you certainly don't want. And then, in fact, you just become what they want you to become.
Yeah.
And there had been little sparks that ultimately erupted to end said relationships.
I want to ask you about one specific one, which one I know about. Please do tell me the story.
Okay, so whoever it was that looks out for me.
And please put it in a lovely timeline.
Okay,
that
you want
even
a timeline?
over
We like the timeline.
over people can
the
see.
timeline of when not at first, but when we moved to London, as I say, when I was 11. My father was teaching at this very prestigious boys' school, and the boys who went there, they had everything. Certainly to 12-year-old girls, they were articulate, they were eloquent, they were good at sport. This young man certainly was, and he was beautiful and intelligent. He had everything. And
there was
one particular young man, and his group of friends and my group of friends would often, hang out, but the both of us were quite shy, and so we would smile and, coquettishly with my hair.
When you're 12.
But nothing happened. Exactly, but you're 12, and so you spray yourself with impulse. And so that was that age 12. And nothing really happens from it. As I say, I'm then asked to move schools. We moved to Sevenoaks. Age 16, going to Borneo. The Borneo experience, in fact, came about. British Airways at this point sponsored young leaders.
Okay.
Or you could apply to be a young leader, and they would take you through training, and we would go off to the heliport. And
exactly behind us, you can see actually Chinese.
There they are.
They're really loud.
As is this one.
The next one.
Everyone's coming out to play.
When you want
at
to talk
the same
about
time.
Okay, so Borneo, age 16.
So age 16, as I say, you apply. They've sort of chopped up the country southeast. We apply to go to Borneo, and it's anyone, as I say, from this area of the country can apply. I turn up, as does this young man.
Again, the same one.
The same one.
So 12, 16.
And by this point, he's still articulate and eloquent, and he is playing sports for the country. He has a beard, which at 16 is and he plays acoustic guitar. I mean, we've got everything. 16, however, I same university.
What age?
And so how old am I out at university? At 20. And I am sat in a chapel at a carol concert. Who doesn't love a carol concert? Singing my heart out, and there he is again.
Oh God, 12, 16, 20.
It's there. I mean, we cross paths and then we cross paths. And at this point, we have a chat. And Cambridge is bitterly cold. There is nothing between Cambridge and the Ural Mountains, so that wind whips across, and it is bitterly cold. And December, probably late November, but Christmas you celebrate early in Cambridge because you have ridiculously long holidays. And so we end up walking around Cambridge for most of the night, having literally putting the world to rights. And we have a chat and maybe this time. And we have a kiss and a cuddle, but we wake up in the morning with a bit of a sniffle because it's freezing cold and it's November and we've stayed out all night. But it's God's way of saying, no, this is not to be. God was punishing us for having a sniffle.
That came from him?
Which came from him, yes, that is not. So again, at that point I just thought, okay, we are again on very different paths. He can walk that path if he so wishes, but I am not on that path.
I can have a sniffle.
So I'll have a sniffle. I'll just put some Vicks Vapor Rub on and have a honey and lemon as well. I'll be fine. So our paths, as I say, diverge again. And I go down to the southwest and I teach, and then I have my year playing all over the world. And I come back to London, and then, forgive me, then we're back in London.
Age?
Gosh, how old am I at this point? 20, 26, probably about 28.
Okay.
Ish. Somewhere around there. And I have come back to London realising I don't have a job. And jobs in education normally go, or you apply for them in, anytime from September to April. So, Lex, you didn't really think this one through. I spent all of my savings on these beautiful experiences, as I say, in Italy and India and America. And okay, it's time to start selling some things. We need to. It's what we learn in India. We get rid of, we purge. So I am selling most of my belongings, and at that point in time, you sell things on Gumtree. So I'm posting and I'm selling all sorts of things. But on there, I see a job or an advert for a job for a governess. Now, Governess.
What is that?
Governess is Mary Poppins, and who wouldn't want to be Mary Poppins? So, as I say, teaching a child. I'm not going to teach a curriculum. I'm going to teach a child. This is the job for me. So I apply, and again, an application with Cambridge University, opens all sorts of doors. So I arrive at said household, and it's London based, and I arrive. But as I do, the PA. Too much. If my hair looked like yours, I'd be happy. Yes, now you're gonna make me feel really. I certainly feel felt like that. So yes, I arrive at this household, and the PA puts a magazine in my hand. She goes, "This is where you found out about the job," which is a magazine called The Lady.
Okay.
It's this kind of household where I have arrived. You do not say that you heard about us on Gumtree. You saw the advert in The Lady.
Deal.
So that's how I'm going to do this. And so I end up working with this beautiful family over in Holland Park, and working with their 4 absolutely divine children. And I feel like I am Mary Poppins.
Did you move in?
Yes. So I lived up in the eaves, and I'm loving this life because, as I say, I get to teach this child.
And you can teach it you can teach the kid as you want.
Exactly. And it's not necessarily as I want, but as in I can curate as he needs.
Yes.
And as he needs in that moment.
Yes.
One day he might wake up and he is feeling full of vim and vigour, others he's more tired, and I can adapt.
Yes.
And to me I was like, this is what I wanted. This is me, age 12. This is what I want to train for. And I had ultimately trained. Every path, every exploration had led me to this point. So I'm there. And so I'm also now living in London, which I'm enjoying, and and I go to a certain shop in London, and I'm trying certain things on in a shop, and I come out, and there
What
is
certain
that young
things?
man again. I am trying.
Oh God, again him.
And so
Wait,
he
what
is
have
there.
you been trying on?
I have been trying on certain undergarments.
Undergarment lingerie.
Yes, they weren't thermals. So,
And you walk out of the cabin like lady, boom.
I am,
And I see him.
thoroughly enjoying my life, thoroughly enjoying what I'm trying on, and there he is again, and I'm thinking, oh, like, come now, if this is not a time, then when is? And so we start seeing each other again, and this time, or by this point, as I say, we have both found places in our lives where we are more than happy. We don't have to excuse our behaviours to God.
What?
Let's say.
Thank you. That was exactly
Yes,
my question.
we don't have to explore that anymore.
And we can enjoy the sniffles.
And we can enjoy. Well, we don't get the sniffles because we don't have to repent. So forgive me. Hey, everyone is on their own path, and everyone can believe as they please. But that was not what I was in for at that point. So yeah, he's seen me literally in a
Naked.
state of undress, and we then start seeing each other, and we end up, in fact, over in New York.
Wait.
This
So
is
you
where
start
he
finally
works.
dating?
So yes, we are now dating, and he
Oh God, 12, 16, 20, 30?
almost
Almost
haven't
30?
reached the big 3-0 just yet.
Oh,
But yes,
cool.
so we're over in New York, and
Why?
this is to the point. So he works over there part-time. He moves around. He has an international job.
All right.
And so yes, we're in New York, and this is to the point of knowing yourself.
Wait, but what happened to his family?
Well, I'm still working with them, but when they are in Courchevel or when they are travelling elsewhere, I do have time off.
Okay.
A governess doesn't sell their soul.
All right.
Yes, so we're in New York, and we arranged to meet for a lunch. That sounds very grand. We arranged to meet for lunch. His meeting runs over, and I am not an easy person if I don't get my sleep, and I'm certainly not an easy person to be around if I don't eat. So I take lunch with a friend, and he calls me and says, "I'm finished. Where are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm with such and such. Da, da, da. We've had lunch now, but we said we would meet for lunch." Anyway, it ends up escalating pretty quickly. Forgive me. He is a beautiful person. The 2 stories I've told so far with sniffles and this one doesn't paint him in the best of lights, but we're all human, we all have our moments. This moment, though, served a purpose in that he was expecting me to wait for him for lunch, and I wasn't willing to. And I sat there thinking, oh my goodness me, again, I don't know myself to the point that I have become who he wants me to be. He has this wonderful CV. He has this wonderful life CV. I don't simply mean professionally. And I had been sucked into thinking, if a man has this, that, and the other, then he must be worth becoming this person, sacrificing myself, certainly parts of myself. And I had told myself that narrative, and I had started to believe it. But when he says, we're meeting and we arranged to go for lunch, my mama's voice probably came into my head and said, no, young lady, you are worth more than that. If you want to eat, you eat. And you eat when you want, with who you want. And so that was it. Game over. So the paths
flew away from New
York.
So
I literally, and that afternoon, by that evening, so we met at probably 4 o'clock. By that evening, I was on a flight back to London, and I said, no, thank you.
That was it?
No, that was it.
Have you met him again?
No.
Not yet?
No, our paths, no, exactly.
Please let us know if yes.
Yes. That would be the part 2, the update.
Are you now single?
No, I am not single. So now I am with a man who, he knows himself, and I know myself, and that is why it works so very well. Truly, it was one of the most attractive traits within him.
Incredible.
We have very few similar interests.
very few similar interests.
Yep, as in we don't necessarily have the same, but we share the same values.
Incredible.
And he knows him, and I know myself as the same. We know those values, and that is why it works.
So let's move on to the last thing. What I want to talk about that is why Battersea? Because as I can say, you are an outsider.
I am.
You don't live in Battersea,
I don't.
but you do work in Battersea, and
do.
you do belong to the community.
Why, thank you. Coming from the Queen of Battersea, and I appreciate that. I do. I live north of the river, just the other side of the river.
You still live southwest. Let's say you not live north.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I can see the river, so I am at least it's within touching distance. So I work in Battersea, and as I say, having been going as
the Mary Poppins.
Through formal schooling, through becoming a governess, retraining as a specialist, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, art therapy. I now, in fact, work with children as... Well, it doesn't have a formal title, but as a one-to-one tutor, working on mindset, working on how they learn, teaching them how to learn, and
so
how
you
they...
are specifically finding the talents of the child, and you are supporting these talents and teaching the kids how to improve in a certain ways.
Yes, so I'm not finding their talent. Every child, we're all children by the way, every child has their innate gifts, and I am simply shining a light on them for those children to say, this is what your strengths are in this present moment, because my goodness me, they will fluctuate and you will discover more. But shining a light on them and then translating them into the skills where they might need a bit more work or they don't feel so confident in.
But still, why Battersea?
So you have a wonderful, wonderful school just opposite Suzette's.
And there we go again.
And there we go. And so I work with...
So right opposite the Suzette is Thomas's.
Thomas's Battersea. And
exactly.
So I work with a number of students there.
Lovely.
I also work in various other schools with various other individuals, various other organisations.
Let's come back to those. So we're teaching at the Battersea, and let's talk about Battersea right now, which is... I'll have every single person replying for these questions, and that is favourite place in Battersea, favourite pub in Battersea or restaurant, and favourite outdoor space in Battersea. If they matching together, doesn't matter.
Perfect. So my favourite place in all of Battersea, I know that we are sat here just over there in the quiet garden in Battersea Park.
You're not the first one. Claire Scott, her favourite place is Old English Garden as well as yours. We are sitting right in front of that on a blossoming cherry tree road, which one is one of her as well. So that's why we sat here, because it's my favourite and close to your favourite.
Yes.
So we have a favourite spot. So that
the
means
favourite spot and the favourite park is
outdoor space.
Yes.
So we covered the 2 out of 3.
Yes. Nature is vitally important.
It is.
Certainly plays a large part in my life.
What is your favourite space like for the eating, drink? We can divide it for 2 places if we want.
No, truly, I would say, as I say, not living in Battersea, but certainly working there. Suzette's, I know that you are biased, but Suzette's has such a community to it.
It does.
And I love that. The energy within it and the crepes. The crepes are really quite good. Having spent so much of my time more recently in France, the crepes are there. So that is one of my favourite places to come.
I'm glad.
Even at the weekends, I will come over. Not working, but I come to visit you.
I'm glad. That's kind of it for today. I would like to thank you for sharing your life story, your personal life story, and having my first outdoor episode. I hope the sound is gonna be good.
Yes, so do I.
So
the dogs haven't been too much of a distraction.
And all the kicking,
and the kicking
chanooks.
And
Guys, it was quite stressful, but we done it.
We played. And
we played
enjoyed it.
And we enjoyed it. I hope we don't have to do it again.
No.
So I would like to thank you for watching the next episode of the Talk Battersea. Even a contact for the for this incredible lady to work for you. This blah 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 blah. Okay, let's say it again. If you want to contact her because you need her services, I'm sure I'll be able to share her social media or something else what she will allow me. And now let's enjoy a bit of nice evening here together and chat without you. Watch next stories, please share, comment and a like, and please do subscribe because it's really important to reach the 1,000 subscribers on my channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my legs.